So odds are, if you're a writer, you face writer's block. I know I've had this problem my fair share of times, and it's a sickness that can plague all writers at times. I mean it's like a literary sickness, hopefully not a real sickness. If you have like a cold, like a physical ailment called writer's block, that's not what this video is about. I'm going to be talking about what to do when you just don't know what's happening next in a story and reach a figurative block in your mind where you just can't keep writing. And yeah, I'll tell you how to overcome it and hopefully give you some tips to be able to tackle these problems quickly when they inevitably come to rise at certain points when drafting your manuscript. First, I'd like to just talk about there's two types of writer's block, at least in the way that I look at it. There's one type of writer block, what I call like a mini writer's block. This is like a mild sickness, maybe like an annoying cough or runny nose that you have in the writer world. And you know what's going on in the story. You have, things are going along pretty good, and then you reach just a certain paragraph, certain sentence, and you're just stuck. You don't know how to describe something maybe the right way. You don't know exactly what you want one character to say. You don't know what you want the first sentence of a chapter to be. And these are super common problems that come up maybe multiple times in a chapter, dozens of times in a story for some writers, and maybe only a few times for others. It really depends. When overcoming these, I'd say, more frequent mini writer's blocks, the key is to just write what first comes to your mind. And I know that sounds like bad because you might just be writing, garbage words on the page. And that's kind of the point. Your first draft is not supposed to be your best work. And it's always okay to go back and edit them later. Also, what I found helpful to do too is actually write like maybe one sentence and in parentheses put like, hey, go back, look this up, maybe research into this more, figure out maybe a good synonym for this word, or maybe reframe the conversation to begin with. And I'll just keep writing. I don't want to lose the flow of the writing, so I'll just put in parentheses or make a comment on the document about what I need to go back and do when I'm looking over and editing. Now I'll get on to tackling the bigger form of writer block, the one that you're probably watching this video for, which, yeah, is normal writer block. I don't have a special name for it. I guess if mini writer block is like a cold, this is like pneumonia or like bronchitis. Like you're going to the doctor, you need some help. The first thing that I'd recommend doing when overcoming serious writer block is just taking a deep breath and pausing. Now, I know this may seem obvious. After all, what else are you going to do when you have no clue what to write next? But what I mean by this is not thinking about your manuscript or your novel for 5 hours afterwards. If you don't know what's going on, that's totally okay. I'd actually just stop thinking about the story and letting your brain rest for a little while. Maybe you want to take a nap, read a book, watch a movie, go outside, whatever you like to do. Go enjoy, have fun, and have a new experience outside of your book just for a little bit. I'm not saying put your book in a drawer for 6 weeks and don't come back to it till years later, although there's been best-selling authors who have done that and their novels turn out to be unbelievable in the end. To overcome these in the best interest of time in a manner that is more the diligent end of the spectrum, just take a short break and come back to it. And if at this point you don't have any maybe new clarity on the problem or new perspective, my advice is to just think about what's the worst thing that could happen to this character. So if you end up just throwing everything, like the kitchen thing, the whole entire house, everything you got at the character, especially the main protagonist, that's how you create conflict, and that's what drives a story. Now, I'm not saying this is always great for the best ways to have a smooth and even plot, but I've actually done this quite a few times. And sometimes when I throw what I believe to be the worst thing at the character to try and get them out of a situation, somehow a series of events ends up transpiring where the story does start to come together. And maybe I'll have to throw in another wrench in the character's way, but ultimately, when I oftentimes do this, it really does work. And maybe I'll have to go back and later and reframe that conflict or even change exactly what I threw in the kitchen sink at it that ended up really driving the conflict. But once I give a new conflict, oftentimes it leads to other sub-conflicts and new developments in the character arc that really helps drive the story and get to where I want to go with it. So then the other thing I'd ask myself, if you don't want to throw in anything crazy into the character's way, or also if you just don't know what to throw at it, I'd ask, where do you want this story to end up? I mean, it's kind of obvious that in the middle of a romance novel, you probably don't want a spaceship with aliens coming down, just abducting one of the lovers in the romance. Now, I guess if it's some alien romance, that would work. But if you have a contemporary romance novel, that would probably not be the greatest thing to do to your reader. So it has to be on genre, and sometimes it's really hard to come up with these things. So you kind of have to think about, where do you want your story to go? I mean, if you know your story is going to be ending with your two main characters on Mars, then an alien ship coming in the middle may work perfect. But if you know you want your story to end, if it's romance with a happy ever after, I guess today I'm talking a lot about romance, but we could talk about a thriller. If you know that you want your protagonist, who might be a detective, to solve the murder mystery in the end, and you have to figure out, how does he get there? What literal tree can I throw in his way to create his own block? I mean, you already faced your own. Get revenge on your characters. Put a big tree in their path and see what happens. And still, I know this is hard. And even after thinking about this and really contemplating this and figuring out where your story might want to end up, you might not know where your story is going to be. And you also might not know what's best to really still continue on. So you might not know where your story is going to end up. And you still might not know what to put on the next page. So we still have this writer's block problem. So still, after all this, if you still have a writer's block, I have something to help you. And I think that doing this will definitely be extremely effective, although it could be the most time consuming, and that would be consulting other writers. There's a number of Facebook groups, writers group, people you can reach out on Instagram and online that you can contact, give them your manuscript and say, hey, can you read this chapter and just tell me what you think about it? Or what do you think about this story idea? Where do you think I should be going with it? And just get their thoughts, get their questions. It doesn't even need to be writers. It can be readers too. Because readers also too, I mean, when I read a book, when I watch a movie, when I am consuming any story, I always think, where is this going to end up? And sometimes that thought, they have amazing and really creative things. And that information can really be of use to you. And you can really contact anyone online on the internet and set up anything. If you go to school, you can set up a club in your school and a club in your library, anything. And that's actually where the Young Eager Writers Association comes in. We have a U Club program where you can contact us, and as long as you have a place to meet and a time to meet at, we will provide you with resources, help, and our entire team to want to direct you guys and hopefully make your writing group that much more awesome. And we really support writers collaborating and helping each other to create awesome stories. And ultimately, if you can't find the answer in yourself or in just your own crazy mind, I mean, well, maybe you're not crazy. I think my mind's a little crazy at times, but a good crazy. All of us writers, we like that. But if you can't find it in that, then the answer oftentimes is in the people around you. And if you need help bringing people around you, well, that's what we're here for. So thank you for watching this video all the way through. If you need any help, anything, feel free to contact me and the team, the Young Eager Writers Association. I hope you have an amazing day and happy writing.